Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Manjari and today I'm going to be talking about why Starbucks sucks. I worked there for 2+ years. I quit back in June after a long journey with them. I have a lot of videos on the good of Starbucks and how to get hired there and all that stuff. So I'll link them below. I should probably just create a playlist at this point. But I didn't want to falsely portray Starbucks as this route for endless opportunities, because the truth is there are quite a lot of faults with Starbucks and there's no denying it, and I want to be transparent. So today's video I'm going to talk about all the reasons working at Starbucks sucks. First of all, you get paid minimum wage. When the minimum wage was $13, they paid me $13.02 before taxes. Anyone trying to support themselves, it is damn near impossible to support yourself on your own based on the amount of hours provided to you plus that wage. You'd have to be basically working yourself to the bone to try and support yourself with that crappy wage. The other part of being paid minimum wage is working at Starbucks isn't that easy. For the amount of work you have to do and you're expected to do, you should definitely get paid more. What do I mean? When you're on the register, you're not just ringing people up. You're also making coffee, making teas, prepping for the next day, grinding batches after batches, getting warming if it's not too busy, and cleaning and restocking. It's not just you're on the register, you're doing a bajillion other things. Same with when you're on bar. You're not just making drinks, you're cleaning the bar that you're not using, you're cleaning the ice bin, you're cleaning the tea pitcher. Like, there's so much more to the job than just what you see as a customer. You know, you're not just making drinks, you're not just on register. The point is that $13 an hour is not enough to be expected to do all of those things in 8 hours, especially when there are really busy times where you can't do that. And it's a little bit unreasonable to expect that you can just do everything. The other thing is there are no bonuses. I believe there's like a partner of the month thing, but I don't know if there was a monetary bonus for that. If anything, I think it was just like $50, which I'm sorry, that is not much. There are really no raises based on how well you do as a barista. So for example, people who have been here for like 5, 7, 10 years, you know, they don't earn that much more than minimum wage. Like, ignore my dumb dog. I know someone who's been a barista for like 7 years and they don't get paid like $20 an hour. Nope, they get paid like $15, and that's just because they had to have the manager talk to the district manager and get approval for that. And it's like, even $15 an hour is not enough to support oneself. It's just too difficult. And there are other jobs where you work less and can earn more without a college degree that isn't Starbucks. Second of all, the training that you receive is not enough. I believe the required amount of training is either 20 hours or 30 hours. First of all, that's not enough to learn a new skill. The only way you can really learn a new skill is practice over time. However, we're often not trained properly. For example, for me, I never got trained by a barista trainer. I just kind of had to learn everything on my own, and that's why I really hated my job for a long time, because I was like, expect me to do something, learn all this stuff, but I like never got training and stuff, which was stressful. Not gonna lie, it just made me really hate the job, but I'm not really somebody who gives up, or I just kind of take a step back from stuff when I feel overwhelmed. I don't necessarily quit and end it. But the worst part was that even though I wasn't trained properly, I was expected to do the job properly, and I was just confused, and it definitely made me increasingly overwhelmed for no reason. The other part of the training is you can't really train people for angry customers, for being yelled at, and for people being impatient. The customer service part of it, which isn't the skill part where you're learning to make drinks and sticking to what, you know, the tasks they expect you to do, is the dealing with customers. And really nothing can prepare you like actually having someone yell to you at your face. And I think that it's important to add that to your the training system. But our training system really just consists of technical skills, and as opposed to what to do if somebody is mistreating you as an employee. The next thing I wanted to mention is the Asu Degree Program. So basically, if you go to Starbucks as, I think you have to be like at least a part-time employee, like you have to qualify for insurance. You can get your degree through ASU, and it's just ASU online, blah blah blah. There's some limited degrees, but you know, you have options, and how it works is you have to pay out of pocket, but you get reimbursed, which that comes the first problem, which is what if you don't freaking have the money and you have to work for a living at Starbucks, and how are you expected to pay it? And everyone's gonna be like, take a loan. Some people don't have good credit, some people don't have any credit. How can they take out a loan when they don't have any credit? There's a lot of issues with that. I also want to point out that it's not easy to work like 30 to 40 hours a week and also be a full-time student. You know, most people are just full-time students, so it's hard. The other thing I want to mention is, for the amount of people who worked really hard to get a degree from ASU online while working for Starbucks, who still work for Starbucks. I don't know how I'm forming this in. My point is, a lot of people will work their butts off to get that ASU online degree, and now they're still stuck working for Starbucks because the transference of the degree of going to an online school doesn't work for a lot of like hiring places. For example, I had a friend who got a degree in psychology through ASU online. They basically wouldn't hire him anywhere, not because he got it from ASU, but mainly because it was online and they didn't feel like he had enough hands-on experience. And unfortunately, he's still working for Starbucks 10 years in, and it makes me feel really sad for him because I think he deserves a lot more than having to serve people for the rest of their lives and, you know, having to be yelled at, you know? The end point here is that the ASU degree does not translate into the real world, and it's really unfortunate because there's a false impression that, you know, you get your ASU degree and you can move on to something that you feel more passionate about. I'm not saying baristas don't feel passionate about making drinks, but maybe you feel more passionate about something else. Maybe it's not your life's passion and Starbucks is like an intermediate thing. Whatever it is, it seems like Starbucks has to be your forever path even with the degree. Next, the benefits. Okay, I don't think the benefits are terrible, I just think they could be better. First of all, there's the 401k. A lot of jobs, especially minimum wage ones, don't offer a 401k. But so basically the 401k has an employer match where it's 5%. I want to point out that there are other companies that offer a lot more, and for the amount of money that Starbucks, you know, has, they could definitely afford to contribute more to our 401ks. I also wish there were subsidized childcare. There's a couple of options for some sort of childcare for COVID specifically, but in general, there was really no subsidized childcare. So you're telling me that I'm working minimum wage and I'm expected to pay for my kid. You realize how expensive childcare is? Like, I wish there was more considerance on that, and I wish the company would pay for childcare even if it was through like another place, just because one, it can afford to. Two, if you're gonna pay us minimum wage, you better give us a ton of other benefits that can cover a lot of other costs that, you know, we need to pay for. I did want to point out that they do have healthcare, and they have healthcare for part-time workers, which I think you have to work at least 20 hours for 6 months or something. But the point is, part-time workers getting health insurance is insane. That's not a very common thing. They also cover and will pay for your public transport costs if you take them to get to work. It's a little complicated, but if you really can't afford to, you know, go to and from work, there are ways. There's also a food and drink benefit where you can get one free food item every shift you work, and I was under the impression it was unlimited drinks because that is what I've always gotten, but apparently it's not. But my point is, you get a decent amount of drinks, and if you don't work, it's 30% off at any non-licensed store, so any, you know, Starbucks, but not the Starbucks inside of Target and stuff. You can get 30% off your drinks there. I did want to point out though that the food offerings at Starbucks are limited in terms of healthiness, in terms of variety. If you're vegetarian or vegan, you basically have to take like 5 things out of everything to even eat it, and at that point there's like nothing in the sandwich. For example, if you got the sausage, egg, and cheddar sandwich and you were vegan, you would just have bread. There are probably a couple more options that aren't terrible, but Starbucks needs to step up their game in terms of food and variety for, you know, more people. I did want to talk about working there in terms of employees and stuff, and the people you work with will just vary from store to store. I've had stores where everyone has been horrible to me and I felt so unwelcome. I've had stores where I cannot believe how nice everyone is and how much they, you know, wanted to help me. The last reason I believe Starbucks sucks is that the standards vary from store to store. I'm not talking about in terms of how many pumps you put inside something or how to make a drink. On that literal level, everything is pretty consistent. I'm talking about cleaning ice bins and cleaning the espresso bars and how people do things and sequence beverages. For example, at one store I was at, we make our own whipped creams. We just buy heavy whipping cream, and we have these like pressurized thingies, and there is a pressurized thingy that you twist on these whipped cream thingies, and every store I have worked at, you take them off. Yet at the last store I worked at, we didn't take them off, and I thought that was very very strange. I don't think it's a huge deal, but I was bothered by it because it's super heavy, and when you take it off, it can explode. So I don't understand why we put it on, but it's cool. Other weird standards, like the dress code policy is not, I mean, like, there is a strict dress code policy, but across stores people follow it differently. I've seen Starbucks where people were allowed to wear ripped jeans, and I would get yelled at because my shirt was green and that wasn't a part of the dress code, and it was very inconsistent. That's not the only thing, you know. For example, we were supposed to clean the ice bin daily. Both of them, I've been at stores where they just leave it empty at the end of the night and that was good enough to clean it, and I'm like, what? That's insane. My point is, the cleaning standards and the standards of how things are done are just not very consistent, and it leaves me questioning, like, how stores are run, you know? Like, why are we not being more safe than sorry? Why are we not being more clean than less clean? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. And it's also confusing to go to one store to another and be like, huh, it's weird that you do that. I always thought that was gross. Or, like, there's this thing where if there are two open milk containers, you know how to pour one into the other even if it's the same kind of milk. Like, you'll just use one and then go to the next one, but people do that at different stores, and I'm like, it's not like it bothers me in terms of like that's the end of the world, but I just feel like the rules are just followed differently, and it's left me feeling confused, because Starbucks does this thing where you can be a bar partner and you can work at different stores. And so it just leaves me a little confused on what I should do sometimes. So that's it for today's video. That's everything I dislike about Starbucks. At the end of the day, I had a pretty good experience at my last two stores. I didn't have too many friends at my last store, but the store I worked at when I was in college, I had an awesome experience at. I made a lot of really good friends, even though I was a mess because it was my first quarter of college. But anyways, I am really grateful for the experiences I've had through Starbucks, and even though they're not the best company, and most of these are really just company issues, not individual people issues. You might have individual people issues when you work there because people can be rude for no reason. My point is, everyone's experience is going to be different, and you should truly understand that these are things that will come along with being on the job, and you don't realize it till you're like 2 years into the job, and if it's worth it for you, so be it, but it wasn't for me, so that's that. So thank you guys again for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Share it with others if it's gonna help them. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I also have a podcast. You can check out all my episodes. The proceeds go to the BLM movement. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye!